Going. Okay. So I am here with Tura Campanella Cook, who is a longtime friend and co-activist of Libby Frank. And Tura is mentioned in the book as part of the National Middle East Committee. And Tura also has been a supporter of the book from pretty close to the beginning, I would say. So thank you for taking some time to chat with me today as part of the book launch.
Thank you, Heather.
Okay. So I thought I'd start off and just ask you how you came to know Libby.
I met her at the first meeting of the Women's International League for Peace and Freedom that I ever attended. I had just learned about the organization. Um, I was in my late 20s, finishing up graduate work in Arabic literature and language, as well as international studies. And I thought this would be a fascinating organization. So I went to their 1980 Triennial Congress held at Quinnipiac College
Hmm.
out of New Haven, and was very impressed by, the all women atmosphere. There were men there,
Mm-hmm.
honorary wealth members and
Mm-hmm.
people's spouses.
Mm-hmm.
But the program was, all women, and I'd never been in such a situation. And then there was the Middle East Committee, and they were
Mm-hmm.
so knowledgeable, and they were giving me this sense of comfort and sense that I really wasn't finding in my academic studies. I mean, I do have an interest in women and families and peace, and we weren't really talking about that at school. So I paid attention to the Middle East Committee, and after one of their presentations, I introduced myself. And Dolores Toller was chair at that point, and she was there with her close friend, Libby Frank, who was former chair and founder of the committee.
Mm-hmm.
And, they were like 20, 25 years older than me, and I was looking up to them and in awe of them. And they were very welcoming. They saw like no barriers between us, no.
Oh,
And they said, join our committee, and we're very interested in what you bring to the committee. And they really meant that.
yeah.
And from a very new committee member, I could have input, I could take on projects, I could express myself. And with, periods of greater and lesser activity, like when I was having kids, etc. I've been
Mhm.
a member for over 40 years, and I've co-chaired it twice,
Oh, wow.
thanks to Libby.
Wow.
Libby and Dolores, let's be fair.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that story sounds so familiar because I remember when I met Libby, she said, why don't you join the local branch Middle East Committee? And I think, that was just something about Libby, and it wasn't just Libby. I mean, it was other people in the organization. Um, that it wasn't about I'm in charge and I'm gonna tell all of you what to do and then we'll do it. Like everyone had a part, everyone had something to contribute, and I think it's part of what made Libby in particular such a great organizer is that she understood that people needed to be part of the process to be engaged.
Oh, yeah, she flattered you all the time. She flattered me and all of us all the time with the attention she gave us and the praise she gave us.
Yeah.
Um, it was different.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so interesting. So, can you tell us a little more about what kind of work that you did, and particularly, work that you're proud of that you want to highlight?
Oh my. I always felt like, well, maybe I'll grow up to be like Libby, and I'll have her knowledge and I'll be able to speak as she speaks. She really prepared, when she was going
Yes.
out to speak to the public, she was in deep research and rehearsal and prep mode, and that's why those things came over so well.
Mm.
Um, I'm remembering her almost mantra about in this committee, the Middle East Committee of National Will, we are wanting to change US foreign policy.
Mm.
To do that, we have to understand the factors that make it what it is. And for a really glib first over reason, you say, oh, APAC, the pro-Israel Jewish lobby, whatever, but that they don't operate alone. And you have the arms manufacturers, and you have the right-wing think tanks, and you have the Christian Zionists who believe that, you know, it's better for them as Christians if Israel controls the area.
Mm.
So she encouraged us to learn. I don't I don't feel like I worked with her on these projects. I certainly supported them, but I think um, I worked with her during a period of turmoil within the organization.
Mm.
Um, and Libby in her full activist life was interested in labor, and she was interested in race relations, and
Mhm.
she was also looking at us as an organism, as a societal organism, and pointing out where we were weak and where we were not democratic and where we were
Mm.
not supporting, for instance, our staff, our own labor.
Yeah.
And after some events that happened within the Women's International League, the US section, there was like a revolutionary group that formed called the Membership Council. I'm sure it's mentioned in the book, but
I don't know
during,
what it is.
oh my, well, I don't want to
Yeah, tell
spoil
us
it.
more.
Well, she and other, friends of hers and other people who were influenced by her felt that the organization could really do a better job of representing members
Mm.
and of doing our work. And so we organized like this, um, or Libby organized this other board, and this it was called the Membership Council,
Mhm.
and used that voice to try to influence the official board at the time.
Mm.
And it was very controversial, and people were leaving and being in a huff, but it was an exciting time to really live out your values.
Mm.
And I almost found it, a little more dramatic than I wanted to take on, but because Libby was doing it,
Mhm.
I was paying attention, and I was on a little sabbatical really from the Middle East Committee during this period. I had gone to the Jane Addams Peace Association as a board member.
Mm.
And the Women's International League and the Jane Addams Peace Association had been linked at one time with a fiscal sponsorship relationship.
Yeah.
And during the time I was on the board, this fell apart.
Mm.
So my first loyalty was to Jane Addams, but I was watching what was happening to Will and trying to not mediate, but trying to give important information about what was happening to both sides.
Mhm.
And I just found it empowering to be working with Libby. I mean, she was working on what she believed in. I was not working hand in glove with her, but I was in the whole orbit of what was happening at the time.
Mhm.
And it sort of kept me conscious of the big picture. Um, and I just learned a lot about organizations during this time.
Wow.
And that was thanks to her. She wasn't just, oh, I'm going to write about the Middle East and close the book and go do something else. It was a part of
Right.
her.
Yeah, she does talk in the book about what she calls and a lot of people call intersectionality. And that was actually the idea of intersectionality was something that I learned in college, and it was like, to me, it was kind of mind-blowing to think about how everything is connected. And I thought it was so awesome that Libby understood this also, so that I could go someplace other than my women's studies program where I learned it, and like somebody else would know like what I was talking about. So yeah, I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, I would find myself, especially after the Jane Addams board experience, which focused on um, a consciousness of peace and social justice, but for children,
Mm-hmm.
to become more interested in what was happening to children in this country in terms of
Mm-hmm.
what they know about Palestinians or other countries or race relations within the United States.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt it could be a part of our Middle East committee work, but in the end, I was really outvoted. That's not where most people wanted to be. They wanted to be in the political scene.
Right,
So,
right.
I do that work outside.
Yeah, yeah. So why do you think that it's important for um for this book to get out? Why do you think it's important for um people to learn about Libby and her life and read the book?
I wonder if, on some level, Libby wanted to encapsulate her life for her grandchildren and for their generation.
Mm,
Um, and not everybody decides to write about their lives. Lots of important people don't. But she had been so influential to everybody on our committee and many people I knew that I thought, if she wants to write about her life, there's a message in here,
mhm,
and I was just behind that 100% because not everybody had the good fortune that we did to be her friend and be in her company and
mhm,
share discussion time with her. And so
mhm.
maybe this is the closest other people can get.
Yeah, yeah. That is definitely a big piece of it for me, because I was really inspired by Libby, and I wanted other people to be inspired by her also, and in a sense, mentored by her in a different way. But it allows who she was to reach so many more people that come after her. And I think that
Yes.
that's really beautiful.
Right.
Yeah. So um I lost track of the time, but I think we're getting close to our time, but I wanted to check in with you and see if there was anything else that you wanted to talk about before we end today.
It was that feeling that she gave me and other people, that you could be yourself and you could talk about what was most important to you. And
Mm,
even if it didn't make a great deal of sense, she would get it
mm,
and you would not be judged.
mm,
And she would have something to say, in a back and forth discussion, and she would bring other people into the discussion.
mhm.
So it was a great um, thought provoking experience to be talking with her and meeting with her.
Yes.
And she gave me a lot of encouragement that way, and other people as well. And I hope it was mutual.
Right, right. Yeah, I mean, I know, I'm sure you do too, that Libby's relationships were so important to her. Her friendships were so important to her. And she like truly believed that change happens when people work together towards a common goal. So, and she embodied that. So it's,
She
it's,
did, and she would say, "I'm an organizer," and she really was. And I go, "God,
yeah,
organizer, what do you mean?" But that way, you mentioned earlier about saying, "Why don't you join this?
yes,
Why don't you do this?" And
yes,
it's a reminder that we should all do that.
yes, yes. Yeah,
So I'm going to say to people, get this book and discuss it with your friends.
I love that. Thank you.
You're
Well, thank you
welcome.
so much. It was such a pleasure chatting with you.
Thank you, Heather. Thank you for working with Libby on this book.
Mhm. Yes, thank you.